You know what's wild? Alaska has more coastline than the entire rest of the United States combined. But here, as the thing most of us could unpoint to half of Alaska's major cities on a map, if our lives depended on it. We think of it as this frozen, empty wilderness where a few brave souls live in log cabins, fighting off bears and surviving on salmon. But what if I told you that Alaska is hiding something far more interesting than igloos in the northern lights? I'm talking about military secrets that could shift global power, resources worth trillions, and a geographic position so strategic that nations have literally gone to war over places just like it. So let's start with the most obvious one. Location. 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 Look. Globe. Alaska sits right at the top of the world, a stone's throw from Russia. During the Cold War, this made it America's frontline defense against a Soviet attack over the North Pole. Today, its importance is even greater. As the Arctic ice melts, new shipping lanes are opening up the northern sea route. This route cuts travel time between Europe and Asia by weeks, saving companies billions. The nation that controls access to these routes controls a huge chunk of future global trade, and Alaska is America's ticket to that game. This strategic position is why Alaska is packed with some of the most advanced military technology on the planet. I'm talking about places like Clear Space Force Station, home to powerful radar systems that can track a baseball-sized object from 3,000 miles away. This isn't just about old missile defense anymore. It's about monitoring Russian and Chinese military activity in the Arctic, which is heating up fast. Think submarines under the ice, spy planes overhead, and a quiet, high-tech struggle for dominance. Alaska isn't just a state. It's a massive, unsinkable aircraft carrier parked in the most critical spot on the globe. But it's not just about military power. Alaska is sitting on a treasure chest. It has more oil than Texas, vast deposits of natural gas, and critical rare earth minerals needed for everything from your smartphone to fighter jets. We're talking about trillions of dollars worth of resources, much of which is still untapped. As the world scrambles for energy and technology, Alaska's wealth becomes a massive source of economic and political power for the United States. Control the resources, and you have immense leverage on the world stage. Alaska isn't just America's largest asset. America's best-kept secret. It's a strategic military outpost, a trillion-dollar resource bank, and the gateway to the future of global trade. The next time you see Alaska on a map, don't just see a cold, empty space. See the most important piece of real estate on Earth. Let's start with something that'll blow your mind. Pull up a standard world mapu. No, the one you had in your classroom growing up. On that map, Alaska looks big. Sure, but it doesn't look that impressive. But here's the problem. That map is lying to you. See, most world maps use something called the Mercator projection, which massively distorts the size of things near the poles. When you look at Alaska on an actual, accurate globe, it's absolutely enormous. We're talking 665,000 square miles. To put that in perspective, you could fit Texas, California, and Montana inside Alaska and still have room left over. It's not just big, it's incomprehensibly massive. But size isn't what makes Alaska so special. It's the location. If you were to put a pin in the center of Alaska and draw a circle, you'd realize something fascinating. Alaska is closer to Russia, Japan, and China than it is to Washington, D.C. Think about that for a second. The northernmost state in America is actually a geographic bridge between North America and Asia. During World War II, this wasn't just interesting trivia, it was a matter of life and death. And it led to a secret war that almost nobody talks about. Here's a piece of history that somehow got left out of most textbooks. Did you know that Japan actually invaded Alaska during World War II? Yeah, actual Japanese soldiers occupied American soil for over a year. I'm not making this up. In June 1942, Japanese forces captured the islands of Attu and Kiska in Alaska's Aleutian Chain. This wasn't some tiny skirmish, this was a full military occupation. The US government didn't want to cause a nationwide panic, so they kept it pretty quiet. But behind the scenes, they were freaking out. Because if Japan could establish a permanent base in Alaska, they'd have a launching point to strike the entire west coast of North America. The battle to retake these islands was brutal. When American forces finally landed on Attu in May 1943, they fought in some of the worst conditions imaginable freezing fog, muddy tundra, and treacherous mountains. By the time it was over, the casualty rate for U.S. troops was second only to Iwo Jima. It was one of the deadliest battles in the Pacific Theater, fought right here on American soil. But what's crazy is that most Americans have never even heard of the Battle of Leyte. So, why does this forgotten history matter today? Because Alaska's strategic importance hasn't gone anywhere. In fact, in the 21st century, it's become more critical than ever before. Let's talk about what Alaska is hiding right now. And I mean literally hiding, because some of this stuff is classified to levels that would make a spy novelist blush. Alaska is home to Joint Base Elmendorf Fridtjof, one of the largest and most important military installations in the United States. But that's just what they tell you about. What they don't advertise is the state's incredible concentration of missile defense systems, early warning radar installations, and strategic response capabilities. There's Fort Greely, home to the ground-based mid-course defense system. Basically, these are the missiles designed to shoot down other missiles. If an adversary decides to launch an ICBM at the United States, Alaska is America's first line of defense against nuclear attack. Not California, not New York, Alaska. Then there's Eielson Air Force Base, which hosts advanced F-35 fighter jets and serves as a major training hub for Arctic warfare. And here's where it gets really interesting. In recent years, the military presence in Alaska has been expanding, not shrinking. Why? Because of what's happening just a little further north. This leads us to the new great game, the race for the Arctic. Climate change is melting the Arctic ice cap, and while that's an environmental crisis, it's also creating something else, a massive economic and strategic opportunity. As the ice melts, new shipping routes are opening up. The fabled Northwest Passage, which explorers searched for centuries and never found, is now becoming navigable. Ships can travel from Europe to Asia by going over the top of North America instead of through the Panama Canal. This shaves thousands of miles off the journey and saves companies millions of dollars on every single voyage. And guess who controls the gateway to these routes? That's right, but it's not just about shipping. Remember when I said Alaska was hiding trillions of dollars worth of resources? I wasn't exaggerating. The Arctic contains an estimated 13% of the world's undiscovered oil and a staggering 30% of its undiscovered natural gas. On top of that, there are vast deposits of rare earth minerals, essential components for making smartphones, electric cars, and basically all modern technology. And a huge chunk of these resources are either in Alaska or in waters directly adjacent to it. Every major world power is keenly aware of this. Russia knows it. That's why they've been building up their Arctic military presence like crazy, reopening old Cold War bases and conducting massive military exercises in the high north. China knows it. That's why China, country that is even near the Arctic, has declared itself a near-Arctic nation and is investing billions in Arctic research, icebreakers, and infrastructure. Everyone wants a piece of the Arctic pie, and Alaska is America's ticket to the table. It's the nation's strategic foothold in the most rapidly changing and contested region on the planet. Okay, let us shift gears for a minute and talk about some of the genuinely weird stuff. Alaska's hiding. Because it is, not all military bases and oil fields there are some legitimately mysterious things going on up there that defy easy explanation. Have you ever heard of the Alaska Triangle? It's similar to the Bermuda Triangle, except it's statistically far more active. We're talking about a vast area between Anchorage, Juneau, and the northern town of Utikawek, where more than 16,000 people have vanished since 1988. That's an average of more than one person a day, every day, for over 30 years. It's more disappearances per capita than anywhere else in the United States. Now, before you start thinking about aliens or supernatural portals, there are some logical explanations. Alaska's vast, remote, and unforgiving. The weather is extreme, the terrain is difficult, and the wilderness is filled with genuine dangers like bears and hypothermia. If you get lost in the Alaskan bush, the odds of someone finding you are tragically low. But still, 16,000 people. That's the population of a small city. Just gone. The sheer number has led to all sorts of speculation. Then there are the conspiracy theories. Some people claim there are secret underground bases in Alaska, used for everything from advanced weapons development to extraterrestrial research. They point to the military's massive, classified presence and the numerous restricted areas where civilians are forbidden to go. Is there any truth to this? Well, we know for a fact that the military conducts highly classified operations there. We know there are top-secret installations. What exactly happens in those places? Your guess is as good as mine. From its mind-bending geographies and forgotten wartime history to its modern role as a military fortress and a gateway to Arctic riches, Alaska is far more than just America's last frontier. It's a land of secrets, strategy, and immense power. What it's hiding isn't just a few military bases or strange mysteries. It's a glimpse into the future of global power. What is Alaska hiding? It's a question that sounds like the start of a conspiracy theory, but the reality is far more complex and important than any alien base or secret government project. Let us start with the truth that has been hiding in plain sight for centuries. The story of the native Alaskan people. For at least 14,000 years, long before most recorded history began, groups like the Inupiat, Yupik, and Aleut thrived in one of the world's harshest environments. They built complex societies and created intricate art, mastering a life that would be impossible for most of us today. But when Alaska became part of the U.S., this rich history was largely buried. Native communities were displaced, their languages suppressed, and their traditions banned. This isn't just ancient history. Even now, many native Alaskan villages lack basic necessities, like running water and reliable electricity. They face some of the highest rates of poverty and suicide in the nation. It is a legacy of colonization and a modern reality of inequality that America doesn't like to talk about. Next, let's talk about the economic time bomb ticking away. Alaska has no state income tax or sales tax. Sounds amazing, right? But here's the catch. The state's entire budget is funded almost entirely by oil revenue. When oil prices are high, everyone gets a check, sometimes over $2,000 per person, just for living there. But oil production has been declining for decades. The famous Trans-Alaska Pipeline is running at less than a quarter of its original capacity. As the world shifts to renewable energy, Alaska is facing a massive budget crisis. The state is burning through its savings, which could be gone in less than a decade. When that happens, Alaska will have to make some brutal choices. Slash essential services, introduce taxes its residents have never paid, or watch its rural communities collapse. It's a hidden vulnerability at the heart of the last frontier. But Alaska isn't just hiding secrets from its past. It's showing us the future. The state is ground zero for climate change. The Arctic is warming twice as fast as the rest of the planet. Permafrost is thawing, causing buildings to sink and releasing massive amounts of greenhouse gases. Coastal villages are literally eroding into the sea, forcing entire communities to become climate refugees. This isn't a distant threat. It's happening right now. Alaska is the canary in the coal mine for the rest of the world. But here's the twist. It's also becoming a laboratory for adaptation. Scientists are studying how to build resilient infrastructure and how communities can survive these unprecedented changes. The lessons we learn in Alaska will be crucial for all of humanity. So, what is Alaska really hiding? It's hiding a rich indigenous culture fighting for its survival. It's hiding an economic model on the brink of collapse. And it's hiding the stark reality of our planet's future, both the warnings and the potential solutions. Alaska isn't some frozen wasteland at the edge of the world. It's a place where global powers compete, where the past and future collide, and where the most important stories of our time are unfolding. It matters for national security, for the global economy, and for understanding where we are all headed. America's largest state might just be its most important. If this video opened your eyes to something new, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. What surprised you most about Alaska? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.